The vastness of space had always been humanity's greatest frontier, a dark, endless canvas dotted with stars and mysteries. For centuries, humans had gazed up at the night sky wondering if they were alone. When they finally launched beyond their solar system, they discovered they weren't. The galaxy was teeming with intelligent life, civilizations far older and more advanced than their own. But rather than the warm welcome they had hoped for, humanity found themselves regarded as little more than cosmic infants, primitive, inconsequential, and ultimately dismissible. The Galactic Concord, an alliance of the 12 most powerful species in the known galaxy, had observed Earth's development for decades. They watched as humans struggled with internal conflicts, environmental challenges, and technological limitations. The Concord's members, some with histories spanning tens of thousands of years, looked upon humanity with a mixture of amusement and condescension. To them, Earth was just another young species, likely to destroy itself before ever becoming relevant in galactic affairs. Admiral Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of the TDF Prometheus, Earth's first true deep space warship, watching as her crew performed final system checks. The vessel represented humanity's ultimate achievement, the culmination of decades of secret research, reverse engineering alien technology, and human innovation. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship, it was humanity's statement to the stars. "Admiral, all systems are showing green," reported Commander Jackson Chen, her executive officer. "The quantum drive is fully operational, and weapon systems are at 100%. Elena nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic displays floating around the command center. "What about the Veil system?" she asked. "Operational, but untested in real-world conditions," Chen replied, though the simulations were promising. The Veil system was perhaps the Prometheus's most closely guarded secret, a revolutionary cloaking and masking technology that didn't just hide the ship from visual detection, but also concealed its true capabilities from outside scans. To outside eyes, the Prometheus would appear far less advanced than it actually was, a clever deception Elena had devised herself. "Good," Elena said. "Humanity needs every advantage it can get. The Galactic Concord has underestimated us for too long." Earth's first official contact with the Galactic Concord had occurred 15 years earlier, a moment that was supposed to be triumphant for humanity, but had instead been humiliating. The Concord's representatives had barely acknowledged Earth's achievements, dismissing their technological progress as crude and primitive. They offered guidance, but with strings attached, restrictions on development, territorial limitations, and resource quotas. Humanity would be allowed to join the galactic community, but only as servants, not equals. Outwardly, the Terran Alliance accepted these terms. Secretly, however, they accelerated their military and technological development. The Prometheus was the culmination of this hidden effort, a vessel designed to protect Earth's independence if diplomacy failed. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Terran Command," Chen reported. "The Alderian delegation is requesting a diplomatic meeting. They're sending a representative ship to these coordinates." Of all the Concord species, the Alderians were perhaps the most dismissive of humanity. Tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and eyes reflecting the evolutionary advantage of a binary star system, they wielded tremendous influence within the Concord. They saw younger species as little more than pawns in their geopolitical games, and now, they sought to remind Earth exactly where it stood. "Inform command will be ready," Elena said. "And Chen, activate the Veil. Let's show our guests exactly what they expect to see, nothing more, nothing less." Elsewhere in the vast expanse of space, aboard the Alderian flagship Celestial Judgment, High Commander Zelix reviewed the reports on the approaching human vessel. "These humans are becoming more presumptuous," he said, his voice carrying the melodic cadence typical of his species. "They believed a single warship granted them standing." Strategic Analyst Varick, his second-in-command, nodded in agreement. "Their technology is rudimentary at best. Our preliminary scans indicate conventional propulsion, basic shield capabilities, and weaponry that would barely scratch our outer defenses." Zelix's mouth curved into what passed for an Alderian smile. "Perhaps we should remind them of their place. The celestial judgment was accompanied by 4 battle cruisers, a show of force Zelix deemed necessary to convey the proper message: resistance to Concord directives would not be tolerated. When the Prometheus arrived at the designated coordinates, the Alderian vessels were already waiting. The difference in size alone was intimidating. The celestial judgment was nearly 3 times the length of the human warship, its sleek crystalline hull reflecting distant starlight. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant King, the communications officer, reported. The view screen flickered to life, revealing High Commander Zelix. His elongated features regarded Elena with barely concealed disdain. "Admiral Vasquez," he began, his voice translated into perfect English. "I trust you understand the honor being bestowed upon you. The Concord rarely grants private audience to developing species." Elena maintained her composure, years of diplomatic training evident in her measured response. "High Commander Zelix, the Terran Alliance appreciates the opportunity for dialogue," she paused. "I believe our meeting agenda includes discussion of the recent border incidents near Proxima Centauri." Zelix waved a long-fingered hand dismissively. "A minor misunderstanding. Your colonists were establishing presence in an area already designated for Concord development. We simply redirected them to more appropriate locations." "Redirected?" Elena echoed. 3 Earth vessels had been disabled, their crews forced to evacuate to a barren moon while their ships were impounded. It had taken weeks to rescue them. "The Terran Alliance considers Proxima Centauri to be within humanity's sovereign territory," Elena said firmly. "As outlined in the settlement agreement of 2156. Zelix's eyes narrowed. "Agreements evolve as circumstances change, Admiral. The Concord has determined that Proxima Centauri holds resources vital to galactic stability. Your understanding of this matter would be appreciated." The implied threat was clear: the Alderians were not requesting, they were informing. "I will convey your position to Terran Command," Elena replied diplomatically, "but I must emphasize that Earth considers its colonial rights non-negotiable." Zelix studied her for a moment, then said, "Perhaps we should continue this discussion in person. I invite you to shuttle across to the Celestial Judgment. A proper diplomatic environment might foster better understanding." Elena recognized the tactic. Removing her from her command center would place her at a psychological disadvantage. "I appreciate the invitation, High Commander, but protocol dictates that as the hosting vessel, the Prometheus is the appropriate venue." Zelix's annoyance flickered across his features. "Very well. I shall grace your vessel with my presence in 1 hour. I trust your accommodations will be adequate." "They're scanning us," Chen reported as Zelix arrived. "Standard protocols, but thorough." "Let the veil do its work," Elena replied. "Show them what they expect, nothing more." The veil system presented the Alderians with sensor readings that confirmed their preconceptions: conventional fusion drives, basic defensive shields, and weapon systems that, while respectable for a young species, posed no threat to advanced Concord vessels. What the Alderians couldn't detect was the quantum drive capable of astonishing speeds, the multiphasic shield technology that could withstand the most sophisticated energy weapons, and the gravitational displacement system that could manipulate spacetime itself. The Prometheus was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and Elena intended to keep it that way, at least for now. When High Commander Zelix and his delegation materialized aboard the Prometheus, their disdain was palpable. Zelix moved through the corridors as though forced to endure primitive surroundings. "Your vessel is quaint," he remarked as they walked toward the conference room. "I'm surprised you've managed to stabilize your matter conversion technology even at this basic level." Elena smiled politely. "We're quick learners, High Commander." The diplomatic meeting proceeded exactly as Elena had expected. The Alderians made demands thinly disguised as suggestions, spoke of galactic stability, when they meant Concord control, and repeatedly emphasized humanity's junior status in interstellar affairs. "The Concord has decided," Zelix stated, "that Earth's expansion must be contained to its immediate solar system until your species has demonstrated the necessary maturity. The colonies at Proxima Centauri will be administered by the Concord, with human participation allowed under supervision. Elena maintained her diplomatic facade. When the Terran Alliance disagreed, Zelix's expression hardened. Then the Concord will reconsider humanity's readiness for galactic citizenship altogether. I will relay your message to Terran Command, Elena said, though I must emphasize that unilateral action against sovereign human territories would be considered an act of aggression. You mistake your position, Admiral, Zelix replied coldly. The Concord does not negotiate with developing species, it guides them. You would do well to remember that. After the Alderians departed, Elena received an encrypted transmission from Terran Command, proceed at your discretion. She looked at Chen, her expression grim. They're going to make an example of us, she said. Prepare the ship for combat scenarios. Maintain the veil until my command. Sure enough, within hours, the Alderian vessels formed a blockade around the Prometheus. They're hailing us again, Lieutenant King reported. Elena nodded. The screen flickered to life, revealing Zelix's face, no longer maintaining even the pretense of courtesy. Admiral Vasquez, he began, the Concord has determined that humanity requires more direct guidance. Your vessel will power down all systems and prepare to be boarded. A Concord Oversight Committee will be established on Earth to ensure compliance with galactic regulations. And if we refuse? Elena asked. Then your vessel will be disabled, and the Oversight Committee will be established regardless. Comply with dignity, or be compelled by force. Elena's eyes locked with his. We'll need time to consider your proposal. You have 1 hour. Very well, Zelix replied before terminating the transmission. Tactical assessment, Elena asked. Lieutenant Commander Razadilier shook his head. 5 against 1. They outgun us severely, at least, that's what they believe. Elena smiled grimly. And what's the reality? Even odds, at worst, Razadilier replied. The Prometheus was built to fight outside its weight class. Elena looked around at her crew, men and women who represented humanity's finest. The Alderians have scanned our ship and believe they know what we're capable of, she said. They're about to learn how dangerous assumptions can be. As the deadline approached, the Prometheus's true capabilities remained hidden behind the veil. The Alderians had no idea what they were truly facing, or that humanity had been preparing for this confrontation for years. All hands, battle stations, Elena ordered. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity is really made of. The Alderian vessels tightened their formation, preparing to enforce their ultimatum. What they didn't realize was that they weren't facing a primitive warship and a meek species, they were facing humanity, resourceful, determined, and infinitely more dangerous than they could imagine. Revelations and Reckoning. As the deadline approached, High Commander Zelix stood on the command deck of the Celestial Judgment, watching the holographic display of the human warship. His confidence was absolute, until he issued the order for another deep scan. I want to know every weakness in their defenses before we disable them, Zelix commanded. Varric complied, initiating the Alderians' most sophisticated scanning technology, capable of penetrating almost any known shielding. Scan commencing, Varric announced. Results? Zelix demanded. They're changing, Varric said, confusion creeping into his voice. The initial scan showed conventional systems, but the deeper scan is revealing something else entirely. On the Prometheus, Elena watched the countdown timer. They're scanning us again, Chen reported. Penetrating frequencies this time. Perfect, Elena replied. Disengage the veil on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. Systems that had been masked suddenly revealed themselves to the Alderian scanners, as though a veil had been lifted to expose the human warship's true nature. On the Celestial Judgment, alarms began to sound. We detected it, Varric stammered. Their power readings are impossible. This cannot be, Zelix muttered. Their drive system, is that a quantum displacement matrix? Varric whispered. And those weapon emplacements, phase-shifted antimatter projectors? Zelix's mind raced. Quantum displacement was technology even the Alderians were still perfecting. Phase-shifted antimatter weaponry was only theoretical in Concord research circles. The implications were staggering: either humanity had made technological leaps that should have taken centuries, or they'd had help. Zelix hissed through clenched teeth. Some faction within the Concord must have provided them with advanced technology. Even as he said it, he knew it wasn't true. The design signatures were uniquely human, ingenious adaptations that bore their hallmark. On the Prometheus, Elena saw her chance. "Open a channel," Zelix ordered, struggling to maintain his authority. The screen flickered, and Elena's calm face appeared. "High Commander Zelix," she said. "It seems there has been a misunderstanding regarding your vessel's capabilities." "No misunderstanding," Zelix countered. "The Concord does not appreciate deception. And humanity does not appreciate threats against our sovereignty," Elena shot back. "The Prometheus represents a new chapter in human development, one where we will no longer be dismissed or dictated to." Zelix's eyes narrowed. "Impressive as your vessel may be, Admiral, you are still outnumbered. One advanced ship cannot stand against the might of the Alderian fleet." Elena's smile was unwavering. "Your scans have revealed some of our capabilities. But there's much more you haven't discovered." It was a bluff, but delivered with such conviction that doubt flickered across Zelix's features. In truth, while the Prometheus was advanced, it was still one ship against 5. However, Elena had one more card to play: human ingenuity. "You have 30 minutes to withdraw your demands and remove your vessels from Terran space," Elena stated firmly. "After that, we will consider your actions an act of war against the Terran Alliance." Zelix's expression hardened. "You are overplaying your hand, Admiral." "Perhaps," Elena replied, "but humanity cannot afford to show weakness now." In the tense minutes that followed, the Prometheus's crew prepared systems never used outside simulations. The ship's quantum core, the heart of its propulsion and weapons, began to pulse with increasing intensity. On the Celestial Judgment, the Alderian command staff was in disarray. The scan data had been distributed to their top analysts, who struggled to make sense of the human vessel's unprecedented power. "Their power generation exceeds our models by a factor of 3, their chief engineer reported. "And their shield harmonics are shifting in patterns our weapons may not penetrate effectively." "We will still prevail through superior numbers," Zelix insisted. "Prepare all ships for coordinated attack pattern Epsilon, target their propulsion systems first. I want that ship disabled, not destroyed." As the Alderian fleet moved into formation, Elena made her final command: execute Lightbringer protocol. A surge of quantum energy bent space around the Prometheus, and in an instant, the human warship vanished. Seconds later, it reappeared behind the rearmost Alderian cruiser, unleashing a precise antimatter strike that disabled, but did not destroy, the vessel. Confusion and alarm rippled through the Alderian fleet as the Prometheus vanished and reappeared in quick succession, disabling 2 more cruisers before they could retaliate. Within minutes, 4 of the 5 Alderian ships lay powerless. "Impossible," Zelix whispered, watching his fleet succumb to technology beyond his understanding. The Prometheus materialized before the Celestial Judgment. "High Commander Zelix," Elena's voice cut through the stunned silence. "Your fleet has been disabled. Their life support systems remain functional, but they will require assistance to restore power." Zelix struggled for words. How is this possible?" "You underestimated us," Elena replied. "And the Galactic Concord will not make that mistake again. Humanity will not be contained or controlled. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend our sovereignty without hesitation." Zelix swallowed his pride. "What are your terms?" he asked, voice bitter. "Recognition of Terran sovereignty over all our colonial territories, including Proxima Centauri," Elena stated firmly. "A non-aggression pact between the Terran Alliance and the Concord. And formal acknowledgement of humanity as equals in galactic affairs." With 4 vessels disabled and the Prometheus's capabilities laid bare, Zelix knew he had no choice. "I am authorized to establish a provisional agreement pending formal ratification," he said. "I will convey your terms to the Concord Council." "The Terran Alliance accepts," Elena replied. "As a gesture of good faith, we will assist in restoring power to your disabled vessels." As the Celestial Judgment's crew worked alongside human engineers, Elena reflected on their gamble. The Lightbringer protocol had pushed the Prometheus's systems to their limits, and extensive repairs would be needed before they could use it again. But the victory had been spectacular, and decisive. In the days that followed, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted subtly but profoundly. Species that had dismissed humanity began to reconsider their assessments, some with unease at human advancement, others with hope for a new ally against Concord overreach. 3 months later, High Commander Zelix addressed the Concord Council. "We have fundamentally misjudged the humans," he concluded. "They accomplish in decades what takes others centuries. And they excel at warfare and crisis response in ways that defy conventional doctrine." An elder council member leaned forward. "Are you suggesting that humans pose a threat to the Concord?" "I am suggesting," Zelix replied carefully, "that humanity is a force we can no longer afford to underestimate. Whether they become allies or adversaries depends on how we choose to engage them now." Meanwhile, on Earth, the Terran Alliance Council debriefed Admiral Vasquez. "What do you recommend?" the President asked. Elena's response was immediate: "We build, we innovate, we explore, and most importantly, we forge alliances. There are species within the Concord who chafe under Alderian influence. They might welcome a partner unafraid to challenge the status quo." The President nodded. "And the Prometheus?" Elena smiled. "It needs upgrades. What we've demonstrated is only the beginning of what humanity can achieve." 6 months later, the Prometheus prepared for its next mission, as an official diplomatic vessel of the newly recognized Terran Alliance. Elena stood once again on the observation deck, watching the stars. The galaxy had changed because humans had refused to accept limitations imposed by others. They had demonstrated a truth countlessly proven on Earth: never underestimate a species that has spent its entire history overcoming impossible odds. As the Prometheus's quantum drive engaged, streaking toward distant stars, Admiral Vasquez reflected on the message they had sent: humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as subordinates, but as equals, not through aggression, but through ingenuity and determination. Never tell humans what they cannot do, they will prove you wrong every time. In the weeks that followed the provisional agreement, the Prometheus entered a new chapter of its mission, forging alliances beyond the Alderian sphere of influence. Admiral Vasquez convened her senior staff in the command center, its holodisplays now alive with signals from distant worlds. "Our success against the Alderians has sent ripples through Concord space," Vasquez began, her voice steady. "We have overtures from at least 3 species, none of them traditional Concord members, who wish to discuss cooperation with humanity." Commander Chen tapped at his console. "The Serati Collective on the Rim World Helix 4 has proposed a summit. They've suffered under Alderian resource quotas for generations and see us as a potential counterbalance." Lieutenant Commander Razadilier frowned thoughtfully. "Their biology is silicon-based. Their quantum communications operate at frequencies our systems can't yet interface with directly." "Then we adapt," Vasquez said firmly. "Prepare the embassy module. We'll deploy interceptors to relay and translate. I want a full technical briefing within 24 hours. Meanwhile, diplomatic envoys from the KYRTH Alliance, a coalition of nomadic traders, arrived aboard the Prometheus under safe passage. They brought gifts of crystalline data shards detailing hyperspace shortcuts around Alderian patrols. In return, the Terran Alliance offered medical technology derived from Prometheus's multitonic shield alloys. During these exchanges, Vasquez found herself walking the ship's promenade beside KYRTH Ambassador Salhak, a tall figure draped in shifting starlight robes. "Your species' resilience is remarkable," Salhak said quietly. "We have long admired your tenacity. But we've also feared what you might become. Vasquez nodded. Fear and respect often walk together. Let us prove we're worthy of both. Across the ship, the engineering crew began retrofitting the embassy module with Serati communication arrays. Working alongside them were specialists from the KYRTH Alliance, their needle-thin fingers dancing across control matrices. As circuits flickered to life, Vasquez saw more than mere machinery coming together, she saw bridges being built. But even as alliances formed, new challenges emerged. Sensors detected an eldritch vessel drifting near the Galactic core, an artifact of pre-Concord origin, its hull inscribed with unknowable glyphs. Preliminary scans showed power signatures comparable to Prometheus's quantum core, but warped in chaotic resonance. This isn't just old technology, Razadillier warned during the tactical briefing. It's dangerous. Its energy patterns could destabilize local spacetime if activated. Vasquez's gaze hardened. Our mandate is clear, we protect Earth and our allies. We'll send a research team to study the vessel, unarmed, under the KYRTH and Serati flags. If this artifact threatens Concord space, we'll need unanimous support to contain it. Less than a cycle later, a cooperative expedition, composed of human engineers, Serati xenolinguists, and KYRTH astrophysicists, boarded the drifting relic. Inside, they discovered a labyrinth of crystalline conduits, humming with latent energy. Etched on the walls were scenes of interstellar catastrophes and rebirth, a message, perhaps, from a civilization lost to time. When the artifact's power core activated unexpectedly, the team narrowly escaped a spatial flare, thanks to a last-second intrusion of Prometheus's rescue pod. Back aboard the warship, Ambassador Salhak and Vasquez watched as the artifact was secured in a containment bay. This knowledge could reshape Concord politics, Salhak said, voice tinged with awe. Or it could plunge us back into chaos. Vasquez studied the containment field's glowing glyphs. Humanity has faced extinction before, nuclear winters, climate collapse. We survived by learning from our past. Now we'll help the Concord do the same. And so the Prometheus, once a lone wolf in sheep's clothing, became the nucleus of a new coalition, Terran Alliance, Serati Collective, KYRTH Alliance, and other emerging powers united in pursuit of stability and understanding. As the artifact's secrets slowly unfolded, Admiral Vasquez stood on the observation deck once more, watching distant stars drift by. The galaxy remained vast and unpredictable, but humanity, no longer dismissed, had proven it could turn adversity into opportunity. And somewhere among those stars, new voices joined the chorus of alliances, ready to write the next chapter of a future shaped not by domination, but by cooperation and shared discovery.